love to do obstacle competitions. And
Okay.
last year we had a few glitches, and Michael worked her through it, you know, and hopefully I've, you know, helped her along throughout the year. And then there's some other things that she still's a little off with, new things,
Yep.
you know, that me being by myself, it's kind of hard to correct and stay on. So it's help.
Well, we'll see what we can do. I'll take her from you.
Okay.
All right. So this horse is 20. She's more experienced, more advanced, and we plan to work her on some advanced obstacles. So where do you think we're going to start? See, you're listening. You're listening. That's good. Yeah, we start right in the beginning. Well, that's nice. I always love a horse that backs up nice. So right here, not only does this tell me if the horse is paying attention, but it tells me how their steering wheel is working. And when you're doing something as advanced as extreme obstacle challenges, you better have a good steering wheel. So everything that we do nice, we ask nicely, we give a warning, and then we put pressure. So when I say control the head, control the horse, I mean you can control every part of the horse. So it's not just enough to control the steering wheel, but you'll see how once we have her face and she's being pretty soft, we can move her different body parts. And there's, for me, especially in the fundamentals, there's 3 basic body parts you need to control. The head, followed by the hindquarters, followed by the shoulders. If you have those 3 parts under control, shoot, even if you just have the front and the back of the horse under control, if you have the front and the back, it's very hard for them to do anything with the middle. Does that make sense? Now, when you start getting control of the front and the back and the shoulders, now you're really prepared to do some more advanced stuff. So we'll take her face, and with that, we'll move her butt around. And we do that simply by bringing her face towards her butt. And you see how her butt moves? Now we'll take her face and we'll go towards her shoulder. Do you see her crossing over in the front? Dun, dun. So that's also known as side passing. So I definitely want to see that from the ground before I try that in the saddle. If you can control the back feet and you can control the front feet, you can side pass. It's just not more complicated than that. Side passing is simply moving the shoulders and the hindquarters at the same time. Move her shoulders. See it? You can tell we're moving the shoulders. You see her crossing over in the front end. Move the hindquarters. There we go. That's nice. Shoulders, hindquarters, shoulders, hindquarters. And you see how we work more in depth with her than the last horse? The reason is, what are we looking for? If you already know what you're looking to try to get out of a horse, I know already, okay, with what they want to ask from the horse under saddle, the horse has to be able to disengage, which means she has to be able to move her butt or move her shoulders. I know she's going to have to be able to side pass. Well, I know if she won't give on the ground, if it's broken on the ground, it's not going to magically fix in the saddle. So that's definitely what we see. There we go. Ask her to drop her head. Very nice. Yes? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of folks lunge like this. Here you go, horse. Know what to do. And the horse doesn't know what to do. and the horse is moving their feet, but it's not paying attention. Their eyes and ears are over somewhere else, and they're just wearing themselves down. If you like prize fighting, if you like cage fighting, or you like boxing, you see any type of combat sport, you notice that all the fighters come in the ring already sweating. They've been in the back jumping rope, they've been in the back hitting the mitts, and you think, why would you waste any energy in the world's most strenuous sport? The answer is simple. If you get your adrenaline up, and if you get sweating and burn your lungs up a little bit, you're a lot more dull. What that means is, if I come in on round 1, you can punch me and I can take the punch because I'm already sweating. Whereas if I walk into that ring cold like this, if you even slap me, my body goes into shock and everything freezes up. People have been doing horsemanship and horses wrong for centuries. Wearing them out to hop on, you're just making a horse that's already stronger than you, already faster than you, dull. The 2 advantages that we have above a horse is that we're smarter than they are, okay? The dumbest person is smarter than the dumbest person is smarter than the smartest horse, okay? Now, the other thing that we're doing wrong is we're taking away their sensitivity. The other advantage that we have is they're more sensitive than we are. They can feel a fly on their butt whenever they're in motion, when they're trotting around. Why would I want to take that away? I want every time that I just reach out and touch her with these tassels that she moves. You get her all hot and sweaty and all of a sudden she mules up and doesn't care. You see horses, I mean, people have worked them and worked them to get in a trailer and they're whipping them with the whip and the horse couldn't even care. Just, nope, don't care. Don't wear them down. Don't take their sensitivity away from them. I want every time that I touch her face, yes, because I don't want to have to Armstrong with her. I don't want to have to get in a tug of war match. So part of it is I stay real close for my timing to be, if I'm right here, I have a lot better timing touching her than if I'm out here, okay? The other thing is, I want to keep it slow. I don't want her going fast and getting herself all worked up and taking away my sensitivity, because I want the ability, when I'm this close, it was obvious when I wanted her to move her shoulders. It was obvious when I wanted her to move her butt, and she did it immediately. If I was at the end of the rope, now it's not so obvious. Your horse better be so trained and know what's coming that whenever you point at something, they give. Next thing is we drop her head. We saw she's a little bit sassy for that pressure, but we want to make sure that she's still respecting us. Next thing we're gonna do is a little desensitizing. Just swing the rope around her. There we go. Throw the rope up over her. Touch her back legs. She has no problems with that. So I don't know, you guys may have not noticed, but she threw a little kick out whenever we were looking to move her butt around. That was just her looking to get a release of that pressure. So kicking, biting, bucking, none of this is bad behavior, it's horse behavior. Out there in the field, they do this. A mare picks up her leg, you move or get moved. As soon as they kick, the other horse moves off and they get a release of pressure. So basically, by me being so close and having a hold of her face, she couldn't kick me without taking her face away from me. So since I had her bent, the kick didn't even come close and I was able to keep adding pressure, and she didn't get a release from the kick, she got a release from moving her butt the way that I wanted her to. So very quickly she said, oh, okay, that's what you want. That's the only way I'm getting out of it. You see the homework has been done with her. She's passing all the tests, going through everything. Approach and retreat. You ever heard that before? That's for the birds. That's for a horse that is lazy, that wants to stop. Okay? If you do that with a gaited horse, a saddlebred, a Paso, an Arabian, if you approach and every time they get scared, you retreat, they're gonna stay scared forever. You can work them for 10 years and they're still gonna be sensitive. Approach and approach. You take the pressure off of the horse when they do the right thing, when they try. If they're not trying, don't stop. So her, whenever I swung this up here, if she dances, if she gets all tense and tight, I'm just gonna bring it to her. When she stands still, she gets a release. Good job. And really that release just comes from the realization on her end that it's not hurting her. But you get a sensitive horse and you go through a program where you bring it to them and then you back away. You bring it to them and then you back away. That horse is gonna stay sensitive. Be aware when you start crossing sides from one side to the other, if I'm on this side and it activates that eye, that she might end up right here. The way that you fix that is a hand right up here. So by you bringing a hand up to her eye or ear, you're bringing that attention right back to you. And worst case scenario, if I lock out my arm and she tries to run me over, she moves me one step out of harm's way. So don't be afraid to be handsy. Don't be afraid. These are the best horsemanship tools that you'll ever be given, are your hands. So don't be afraid to use them. So I can already tell she's a little bit more tense and tight about this than the last horse. That doesn't make any difference to me. All it means to me is I'm going to be aware whenever I walk her off. So you want to pay attention whenever you ask them to walk off with something scary on their back, because a lot of horses will forget that you're on planet Earth and just blast off forward because they're looking backwards. So this is what we're trying to say. We're trying to say, hey, I don't care if you're afraid, that's okay. Okay? It's not a horse's fear that hurts you, it's their reaction to that fear. I'd much rather a chicken little of a horse that looks to me for guidance than a brave horse that could care less about my guidance. Because even the bravest horse has something they're afraid of. The most brave person in the world has that one fear, spiders or heights or trains or clowns or something. Same way with the horse. So what I'm trying to do is make her uncomfortable and then make her look for my guidance. So that when we're doing obstacles and she gets afraid, she looks to me for guidance instead of just running away and plowing through stuff. The next thing I'm going to do is ask her to walk a circle. I love how she's giving me her face here. Again, if I go skiing behind her because she moves her feet and she drags me all over the place, that lets me know she's not ready to be ridden. And I've told people, hey, your horse is not ready to ride, and they've been riding it for 5 years. What do you want me to say to that? You're welcome. I'm letting you know, okay? So what does it mean if you're riding a horse that's not ready to be ridden? People do it all the time. All I'm saying, you could have had perfect rides, but if it fails these tests, I'm telling you that, hey, if your horse gets uncomfortable, you can't control it. Well, she's never done anything bad with me. She's just a little funny sometimes. Okay, I'm telling you, you get in the right environment. If they will drag you or run you over on the ground, that lets you know under saddle where you're less physically demanding, you're less confident, less balanced, that if it really gets scared or something bothers it, you're not going to stop it. To the nose. People say, oh, you're supposed to do that until the horse is perfect with it. This is how this works. In grade school, passing is a 69.5. It rounds up to a 70. Trust me, I know. Anywho, passing is passing and you move on. Because the more advanced you get, the better you'll be at the things previous to it. I'm not asking for the horse to do it perfect. I'm asking for the horse to pass it. And the reason for that, the idea that the horse has to be completely perfect with one thing before we move on to the next, it will take you forever. You'll do this for, week after week, month after month, until the horse can do it like nothing's happening. But the exact same horse, if they pass it, which means that they don't drag you, they don't run you over, they accept it, and you move on to something bigger and better, then something bigger and better, something more advanced and something more advanced. You come back the very next day, and the thing that was early on, the little soccer ball, won't be a big deal. Because if the soccer ball on a horse that you've never ridden is a big deal putting it on their back, by the time you've ridden them and you've pushed the soccer ball and you've gone through the obstacles and you moved them around, then you just touching them with the soccer ball is not a big deal. So the idea that she just has to stand there perfect, dead to the world like nothing's happening, and you have to do that day after day and you can't advance anymore, that's foolishness. You're limiting your horse and you're taking a long time to get there. All she has to do is be uncomfortable, but yet stand still, just like that. Other time she tried to make a move, since I kept and stuck with her, she said, oh, that didn't help. The same way as the kick. Why did she stop kicking? She kicked one time, it didn't help her at all. She didn't kick again. I put the ball up, she ran from it one time and took 3 steps. Those 3 steps didn't help. Now she's standing still. Good job. Just like that, we're ready to ride anything, any age, any breed. Okay. I want you, the big game changer is I want you to think, it's not the horse's fear that hurts you. It's their reaction to that fear. I see horses that are scared of everything, but are great horses because they won't dare make a move without you. They won't dare run away with you. They'll listen to you. And I've seen other horses that are brave and they are dangerous because they're so brave that they could care less about what you're saying. And the moment that something really bothers them, when you finally find something that bothers them, they take you for a ride. Okay, so I'll put a clip under the halter. And what that does is it snubs it up for a little bit more advanced horse. And it lets me do a little bit more advanced work. Before, I used to use the natural horsemanship halter for young colts, for beginning horses, for just the fundamentals. But now by putting that clip under and snubbing it up, it's similar, the more advanced version of a Western Basel. Just on the bottom 2 knots. Yes, ma'am. So you just go to the bottom 2 knots, and all that does is, regardless of the type of work I'm trying to do, this is not going to ride up their face, and it's not going to be so exaggerated. So the difference between green horse equipment, okay, baby horse equipment, uneducated horse equipment, and finished horse equipment, usually you see the difference in the size, right? That's not the big difference. The big difference is the margin of error. So if my horse is completely finished, I want to put something on that if I do this, he feels it. So my finished dressage horse, your finished show horse, your finished Western horse, you'll see finished reining horses that can do everything bridleless. Yet in the show, you see them with a ported bit. Well, that's because they don't want to even move their hand. They're going through the whole competition. They want to do this right here. It's not to punish the horse. It's not to dominate the horse. Whenever you're riding a green horse, a horse that doesn't know, you take this off, and there's a lot of room for error. Okay, you're saying, hey, whenever I want to go right, look at all that space. Right, right. You're trying to make a neon sign. Hey, go left, right, right. As the horse gets more advanced, you want to have less margin of error. Now, instead of moving my whole arm and hand out here, now it's just a couple fingers. Hey, get over here. Hey, does that make sense? That's the difference between green horses and finished horses. What should be the difference, right? All right, hop on, stand still. First things first, just gonna ask the horse to flex on one side and the other. You see you can tell she's been practicing flexing, but I'm just gonna flex until she doesn't take that step. Perfect, good job. The next thing we're gonna do is move off, check the brakes. Yes, hold. Perfect. Yes? So she's talking about flexing and going at the same time, giving and going. We have a membership program where we have like step-by-step how you do things. So she's talking about something that's more advanced. Flexing right there, that is the basic fundamental, turning left and right. But flexing at a standstill or desensitizing at a standstill, that's the equivalent of checking your steering wheel and brakes in a parked car. Your steering wheel and brakes in a parked car don't do you very much good because you're not going anywhere. You get hurt whenever you're in motion. So she's absolutely right. Once you get flexing and stopping, with nothing going on, those brakes are working good, the horse is backing up. The next thing that you want to do, remember I told you earlier the 3 things that all special horses have? Respect for the rider, fundamentals. Give to pressure, fundamentals. And the last and probably the most untalked about things is that they give and go. That they can move their feet and give their face at the same time. Any great dressage horse, any great reining horse, any great cow horse, any great show horse has to have the ability to do that because that's how you get collection, that's how you move body parts, that's how you spin, that's how you slide, is you disconnect their head from their body. So if it doesn't work at a standstill, if it doesn't work from the ground, it's not gonna work. Now she has those 2 things. I'm gonna do an exercise to loosen her up. This is a great exercise if you have a stiff horse at home or a hot horse at home. It's called a spiral. So we're gonna touch her to the inside. And when the circle gets so small that she walks, we're gonna stop her. Oh. And we're gonna ask her to back up, only using that outside rein, only using this hand. This hand doesn't move. Ask her to back up. Good job. We're not trying to spin them, we're not trying to turn them. We simply want them to walk back up in a straight line. Back. Good girl. So you see her turning right there? So to this side, she has more resistance. You see her turning? When she gives up her head, she'll stay in a straight line. And the awesome thing about this is you don't have to be strong. We're not getting in a tug of war with them. We're simply touching and releasing until they give. Go. And what that does is it breaks them from the pole up. For those of you who don't know, the pole's up here. When people say break it from the pole, it's a fancy way of saying put your nose down. The reason head position is important, the reason breaking from the pole is important. Everybody wants to talk about natural horsemanship. There is nothing natural about riding a horse. You never see a lion riding a zebra through the Sahara unless they're going to eat it. Okay, you're a predator riding a prey animal and you're saying, take me there. It's not normal, it's not natural. Okay? The natural horse, they spend their whole day with their head in the grass getting fatter, with momentary bursts of energy throughout the day. Like any horse, the most broke horse, it has a moment during the day, it pops its nose up, it sticks its tail up, and it takes off from here to there, and then it stops and goes back to its favorite job, standing still, getting fatter. We don't want natural. You see a bunch of people go out on a trail ride, and at first glance, I can tell you who's gonna have issues. The horse that has his nose up, the horse that has his eyes wide and his mouth open and his tongue out, they're gonna have problems. The person that has the horse with the head down, tucked right there on a loose rein, completely giving, well, that horse is gonna be fine. And that's a very good way to look at it. If you can get that horse giving with the slightest touch and that horse giving its nose downward and giving its head downward, all that's unnatural. And what's unnatural? Domestication. We want this joker to be as domesticated as possible. We want it to be anything you say, the only answer that you hear in reply is, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And it all starts, see, I love that right there. You guys don't understand how happy that makes me. That you pick up a rein and before you touch the face, the horse is giving its face before you can even grab it. That's hard work. That's homework right there. You could tell they're at home working. All right, so giving and going. We'll start that before we start doing obstacles. Giving and going is exactly what it sounds like. We're going forward. We're gonna start asking that horse to give his feet, give its head, and move its feet at the same time. So very early on, I'm busy with it. So I'm taking her face back and forth, and you can see that she wants to follow her head, which is natural for the horse. That's what a horse wants to do. So again, we don't want them to be natural, we want them to be domesticated. The more we can disconnect her head from her body, the more control will be of the horse. So if you see a reining horse, a cutting horse, those jokers can lope the whole arena with the horse looking the wrong way because their head is so disconnected from their body, and that's how they gain such great control of the horse's body parts, because the horse doesn't need its head to dictate where it's going. Now notice, as she gets better at it, I start slowing down. In the beginning, I was going back and forth to show her that it was easier to move her head than to follow with her feet. This is your pro tip. Shoulders are straight. My eyes are down to the other end of the arena. I'm looking straight. The only thing that says move are my hands, are the reins. My weight, my legs, they're just even. They're telling her to go straight. No, ma'am, they're not alternating. They're just straight. All I want her to do is to follow those reins wherever I want with her face. Don't give your body unless I ask you to. And what this is gonna do is it's really gonna loosen her up for the side pass It's really gonna loosen her up if I want her to pivot on her butt or to move her butt, move her forehand. Forehand's a fancy way of saying the shoulders, the front feet. So where a lot of times if you get stuck, it's because you're asking too much, right? Notice how I can start asking her more and I just immediately give before she can turn. But what happens when I do that is she's gonna start, instead of stopping, she's just gonna keep going. So if left is the problem side, we can just sit here and work on left. You see I look straight so she doesn't turn left. All right, another pro tip is as soon as she starts figuring that out, start leaving the other hand at home. So I'm gonna pull to the right, but my left hand isn't giving. What is this gonna make her do? This is gonna make her start breaking from the pole. So not only is she turning her head to one side, but she has to bring her nose in at the same time. So right now my legs are encouraging her to go forward. I can click to her, hey, I want you to go forward. Yep, it's just in one place. And what that does is instead of just doing this, it makes her do this. It makes her draw to that shoulder. Instead of her head just going here, which that's not the end goal. The end goal is you want them to do everything here. So this just helps the process of where we're trying to go. Absolutely. And the other thing it does is as soon as I release, it straightens up her head quicker. So instead of following her head and turning off to the right, the second I let go, her head pops right back to straight where I want it. Does that make sense? So start softer and be more persistent early on. And as she gets better and better at this, you're gonna start going slower and asking for more, okay? All right. Yeah, no, this is a really good start. The horse is so much improved from last year. Can really tell you've been doing your homework. All right, that's no issue. All right, so let's talk about gaits. When it comes to gaits, I want you to understand that it looks like the easy way to go, but this is harder, actually. If you want to teach a horse how to properly do a gait, the best way to do it is on a gait, and one that you're not dragging on the ground. You know, one that swings pretty good. And the way that you would do this, if this was a regular gait, hand me that crop. Toss. All right. Just gonna move her butt around here. There you go. So right here, we're just prepping her that we're gonna be moving her butt around. And the way that you can do this safely is to grab her by the face first and then bring her head to her butt. All of a sudden, she's giving her butt real nicely. And really, we have this thing just for an attention getter more than anything else. We just want to be able to draw her attention to us. Okay, so this is our gait, right? What I would look to do, if this was a firm gait, a steady gait, right? We would unlatch it and bring it to us. Well, guess what? You could take a pretty green horse and now you have something hinged and you can side pass your horse over without them even knowing how to side pass yet. What does that mean? You have the horse standing right here beside the gate. Say this is a real gate and we start bumping with this gate, the horse is gonna move away. Whenever you get that gate nice and open, you come through it, ride towards the post. Oh. You'll ride that horse as soon as you come around the gate, ride right to the post that it's hinged to, and then you'll do the same thing. You'll start side passing them right back over to the gate and then hinge it. Good job. We'll do that same thing again. If I have a gate, I'm trying to come in from the hinge side, right up towards it. Oh. Right, what I want to do here is I would like to back her up and move her over at the same time that I'm moving the gate. And what that's gonna do, like back her towards the hinge. Here we go. And you see how the gate's opening? If this is a gate, your hand would be sliding down the gate here. And when you feel like that's a nice big opening for you to go through, you pause right there, and you're simply gonna wanna come to the end of that gate, come right around it. The trick is here on the far side, is where a lot of people let go, is to go right, you're pointing towards those hinges. And you wanna go straight to the hinges here, point her nose right here. That's it, and then back up. Because obviously you lose points if you let go of the fence. For me, that is the simplest, easy way to get a horse that doesn't gate well to gate, right? Because the horse doesn't even have to have a amazing side pass or anything like that. People can make this a lot more complicated than what it is. If she dances around to it, just back her up. Well, the gate's gonna funnel her right back to the fence, right? If she tries to dance or move off whenever you go to grab it, when you go to grab that gate, come right up beside it, jiggle it, wiggle it, and then bring it to her. And if she has any issues, back her up, because it's hard for her to back up and flee at the same time. So you'll back her right back to the fence, and that gate will just follow you. And then turn around and come in the opposite way, just step by step. If you have any issues and she tries to bolt off to the side, send her forward to the hinge right here. The closer to the hinge you get, the less the gate moves. The more you're by the end of the gate, obviously the more spread the gate has. Does that make sense to everybody? That's how you want to do it. If you could do the rope, quite frankly, the rope is harder than the gate is, other than the little spook of the horse on the gate. But the trick is, remember, this is the pivot point. So for any of this stuff, if you're having issues, back the horse or take the horse forward towards the hinges, and that's going to be less movement and the horse will. I saw that, that's why. So what I got, if you have that issue and you see that horse is trying to dance with their butt, if you come over there and wear that butt out a little bit, and by wear it out, I simply mean bring the rein around here towards their butt, and if they don't give to that rein pressure, pop, pop. All of a sudden, we come back over here a second time, we have a crop in our hand, and now she didn't want to blow off of the gate. So a little crop action can help you. And what that does for you as far as riding, a lot of people want to kick and spur, but to kick and spur and get a horse like this with the hindquarters, you're bringing your heels way back here. What that does is it unseats you and makes you uncomfortable, especially if the horse is dancing around. As opposed to, I'm sitting just like this, and I can tap her back here on the butt, and she's gonna come off of that pressure at the same time that I'm very balanced. So that's really gonna help me do that. All right, see the bag now? So I want to show you how me doing the backing earlier is really helping me here. So right when she's thinking about going forward, that backing up crooked like that, that's really helping me to get her stationary. Doo-doo. So you stay, instead of attacking it and letting her go forward, how much it slows her down and how much it makes her think. I got respect out of her backing up earlier by turning her sideways and backing her up. Now I'm shutting down all that forward motion by doing just the same thing. By putting her on whether it's the gate or this here, well, you're only gonna have to back her up a couple times where she doesn't think that she can do anything about it, or she's gonna try to do it however you want to. Then you can come in any direction you want, or do it from the left, the right, wherever. Good girl. Does that make sense how shutting down that forward momentum is going to help you so much? It's a great way to educate, because it makes them stop and think about what they're doing, as opposed to trying to do everything forward where they're at their strongest and they keep making space between you and whatever you're trying to work with. Horses want to go forward. So the less forward you can give them. What I mean by that is, a lot of folks, the idea of fixing that would be, well, she doesn't want to do that, take her forward and run her forward in circles, and when she gets tired, well, then she'll want to do it. If I can shut down that forward at will, can you imagine how safe of a horse that makes her? You know, that turkey pops out of the bush or the bicycle pops from around that corner, and anytime you just touch these reins, no matter what she's thinking, she shuts down for you, she goes where you want. So all these things that you're getting a lot of motion and commotion about, if you could stop all that static by backing them, by having a little respect in the bridle and having her back up to it and give it without running around and having all that extra motion. She's a horse that once she figures out something is safe, she's fine with it. You know, she's not a spooky horse to the point that you're constantly reteaching things. Obviously, she learns a lot because she's a lot better than she was last year. And stuff like the tarp and the ball and all that, you're going over so much easier. She's not even looking at it. So if that's the case, now we just have to teach her some of the things that she doesn't know yet, how to do it without that static of moving and motion and all that. Make sense? Have any questions? Do you want to give it a go? Yes. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. Make sure to get in the comments below and give us your feedback. Let us know what all problems you're having, if you're having any problems with the steps, if there's more videos or problems that you would like to see. We just want to better help you bond with your horse and help fix some of your equine problems and reach your equine goals.